Here they are at Disneyland, putting pictures up of their kids all over social media for millions of people to look at. Again, I simply say, James, it's the hypocrisy. It's nothing else.
Ladies, gentlemen, and anyone who still thinks Meghan Markle's latest media storm is just about a twerk, get ready because we are officially watching what can only be described as a full-blown cultural explosion sparked by a single moment that somehow managed to set off centuries of royal tension, British tabloid obsession, and the ever-fragile ego of an institution that still thinks it gets to control the narrative like it's 1895 and everyone reads The Sun. And folks, yes, the internet had an absolute field day with the video. Some laughed, some gasped, some immediately hit record on their own hot takes while Googling how to sound outraged without actually knowing anything. Others rushed to defend her, calling it joy, expression, liberation. But boom, cue the eye rolls, cue the million-dollar question that keeps popping up every time Harry and Meghan step into public view. What exactly are these two doing? Because let's be real, it wasn't even that wild. Just a candid-looking family moment, some light dancing, a twerk from Meghan that wouldn't raise eyebrows anywhere outside the UK press, but suddenly the second it hit the public eye, it was framed less like personal freedom and more like royal rebellion gone too far. Tacky? Maybe. Overexposed? Absolutely. But scandalous? That's not a fact. That's a framing device written by columnists who still think journalism means yelling scandal at everything that doesn't wear a tiara properly. And cue the backlash, cue the outrage, cue the phrase trailer trash being dropped by a UK columnist like they were auditioning for the Real Housewives of Westminster, and suddenly the conversation wasn't about dancing anymore. No, honey, it was about class, about race, about respectability politics wrapped in tabloid fury and delivered with zero subtlety. Because when you're part of a monarchy that built its brand on restraint, tradition, and looking slightly uncomfortable at all times, suddenly a twerk isn't just a dance move, it's a declaration of war against decorum, against protocol, against the idea that royal dropdowns should only come from chandeliers. And trust me, nothing says British media drama quite like turning a simple movement into a national debate over whether the monarchy should have a dress code for dignity or just a general ban on fun. Because suddenly, Meghan wasn't just twerking, she was challenging centuries of royal decorum. Harry wasn't just filming, he was enabling it. And somewhere, deep inside Buckingham Palace, Kate Middleton was probably sipping tea while quietly updating her Instagram bio to just here for the peace talks. But here's the kicker. This isn't just about one woman's dance moves, it's about how the UK media treats everything Meghan does like it's part of a Shakespearean tragedy written by someone who barely passed English 101. The second she steps outside protocol, suddenly she's not just breaking form, she's breaking tradition. She's not just being herself, she's being too much, too loud, too black, too American, too visible. And honey, nothing says exposure quite like having your personal life turned into political theater faster than Trump can rewrite history with Sharpie and a fever dream. So yes, folks, while some keep pretending this is about etiquette or elegance, the rest of us are watching the bigger picture unfold like it's must-see TV. Because when your idea of leadership looks less like diplomacy and more like a man yelling China during a debate about windmills, you don't get to decide what's classy. You lost that round the second you gave a press conference on golf course real estate instead of actual policy. And while the UK press keeps rewriting Meghan's story like she's the villain in their own version of Downton Abbey, the real truth keeps leaking through the cracks. This isn't about twerking, this is about control, about who gets to define dignity, about who decides what kind of black woman deserves a seat at the table, and who gets thrown out for standing too close to it. And suddenly, the outrage isn't about movement at all, it's about mobility, about power, about visibility, about the fact that Meghan moved from royal life to real life, and suddenly people can't handle how free she looks. So stick around, folks, because while columnists keep throwing shade and royals keep dodging questions, the real battle is playing out in courtrooms, in hearings, in moments where truth gets shot in the leg for standing too close to power. And honey, nothing says exposure quite like having your personal life turned into political fuel again and again and again. Because when your entire operation runs on denial, distraction, and the illusion of control, someone always shows up with the right mic, the right timing, and the right amount of sass to remind everyone that truth doesn't need a crown to land hard. It just needs light, a little music, and a camera angle that suddenly makes the world lean in and whisper, "Oh no, did she really just do that?" And honey, that's exactly what we're here for. One breakdown at a time, one punchline at a time, one royal meltdown at a time.
It's undignified and embarrassing, especially for a couple who built their brand on royalty, restraint, and class.
He's the one that continues to cause enormous damage to the royal family because he's the king's son. And he keeps whacking them away. The king won't even see him, Kinsey.
Meghan and Harry, life made easy, and more Meghan and Harry content creation gone wrong. Because yes, honey, this isn't the first time they've tried to do something relatable and had it backfire so hard it made the internet collectively gasp like they were watching someone drop a phone into a punch bowl at a Hollywood party. Whether it's a podcast, a Disney World visit, a jam session with D-Nice, or yet another carefully curated selfie with their kids that looks less like family bonding and more like brand strategy written in glitter pen. Every move they make ends up looking awkward, staged, and slightly out of touch. And boom, just like that, suddenly the world is accusing them of chasing fame while screaming about privacy like they're hosting their own version of The Bachelor Meets the Crown. It's like whatever they do, no matter how casual, no matter how personal, it gets twisted, overanalyzed, and used as proof that they're not just struggling with image management, they're struggling with identity. And let's be honest, maybe there's some truth to that. Maybe they do have trouble balancing authenticity with optics, but even if they didn't, it's clear that a large chunk of the public has already made up its mind. No matter what they do, people just don't like them. Not the version they sold, not the version they're living now, not even the version where Meghan's dancing and Harry's doing his usual I'm trying to support her but also avoid eye contact thing like he forgot the choreography in the script. Because here's the kicker, the latest video that set the internet on fire looked innocent enough. Meghan was dancing, Harry was standing nearby, awkwardly in frame like he wasn't sure whether to clap or duck. And someone, whether it was them or their team, thought, hey, this looks cute, let's put it online. And cue the chaos, cue the polarization. Suddenly supporters were calling it charming. A little window into their happy family life in California. Critics called it undignified, embarrassing, like watching royalty try to TikTok their way into relevance and accidentally reminding everyone why they left the monarchy in the first place. And somewhere deep inside Mar-a-Lago, Trump was probably watching the clip and muttering, weak, very weak, before Googling how to deport sarcasm again. But let's zoom out for a second, because this isn't just about one video. This is about a pattern. Every time they try to look normal, it somehow backfires. Every attempt at relatability ends up feeling performative. Every moment of intimacy ends up looking manufactured. And suddenly, even dancing looks suspiciously like damage control. Because when you leave the palace, move to Hollywood, sign multi-million-dollar deals with Netflix and Spotify, and then act surprised when people treat your lifelike content, you don't look authentic. You look confused. And honestly, nothing says exposure quite like having your most human moments turned into memes that mock you harder than any tabloid ever could. So while Harry and Meghan keep trying to redefine themselves, while they keep launching content that screams, look how real we are, the rest of the world keeps responding with side eyes, screenshots, and group chat breakdowns that ask the same question over and over again.
Pretty ordinary
if they wanted privacy, why does everything they post look like it was storyboarded for maximum emotional leverage? Because when your entire exit strategy from royal life was supposed to be about stepping into something real, something grounded, and yet somehow everything still lands like a press release written by someone Googling how to seem humble at 3 a.m. You don't look relatable, you look rehearsed, you don't look free, you look trapped in your own branding. And trust me, nothing says irony quite like building a new identity on freedom and independence, only to find out the internet treats your every move like an episode of Keeping Up with the Windsors with worse acting. So yes, folks, while the Sussexes keep trying to spin their life into gold, while they keep insisting they're just regular people with royal blood and Netflix money, the rest of us are just sitting back watching it all turn into punchlines. One dance, one podcast, one viral meltdown at a time. And while they keep pretending this is about being misunderstood, the rest of the world keeps reminding them that the second you start treating your life like content, people stop treating you like nobility. They start treating you like every other celebrity fighting for attention in a world that barely cares. Because when your idea of family life looks less like reality and more like a PR campaign written in disappearing ink, you don't just invite criticism, you invite suspicion, you invite mockery, and eventually you invite the very scrutiny you claim to hate. So stick around, folks, because while Harry and Meghan keep trying to sell us on their next move, the internet is already ahead of them, already laughing, already screenshotting, and honey, already rewriting their story in ways they never saw coming. Because when your brand looks less like liberation and more like performance art, someone always ends up holding the mic, and trust me, that mic doesn't lie, it just reflects.
I think sex work is beneath some people, is that what you're
Probably
arguing?
for a member of the royal family, yeah. You probably shouldn't be a hooker. Yeah. On balance, a member of the British royal family probably ought to steer clear of sex work, yeah.
And you already know the internet had a field day with it. Some people laughed, some defended them, but a lot more rolled their eyes and asked the same question: what are these two doing?
Let's stop now and zoom out. Although the Sussexes have been the target of heat before, there is a pattern that is difficult to overlook. Whether it's a podcast, a Disney vacation, or a jam launch, Harry and Meghan always attempt to do something relevant while taking selfies with their children. Somehow it backfired. People yell about privacy and accuse them of pursuing celebrity. Everything they do seems to be turned into evidence of their hypocrisy. Indeed, there may be some truth to it, but it's also evident that many people just cannot tolerate them, regardless of their actions. Let's discuss the video. Meghan was moving to the music. Someone, perhaps them, maybe their team, thought it was worth posting online since Harry was standing close by in a really embarrassing manner. The response polarized immediately. Critics thought it was undignified and humiliating, particularly for a couple who established their image on monarchy, temperance, and elegance. Supporters felt it was sweet, human, and a little insight into their happy little family life in California. Let's not pretend that the language wasn't loaded when Miley Cyrus twerked at the 2013 VMAs. When Meghan does it, it's perceived as rebellious and wild. The trailer trash label only served to fuel the flames and ignite a new debate about what that phrase even means when it's directed at a biracial woman like Meghan. It's rude and nasty on a grainy home video. Isn't the double standard evident? Many of Meghan's supporters did. They drew attention to the speed at which public opinion shifts when race is brought up. Depending on who is performing, the identical motions, the same look, and the same atmosphere are seen through two completely distinct prisms. This leads us to the actual problem, which is the never-ending public relations battle between the Sussexes and, well, everyone else, including the public, the monarchy, British tabloids, and even other celebrities. They seem to be engaged in a never-ending battle on all fronts. One minute, they're sharing meticulously staged Disneyland pictures of their children with emojis all over their faces. The next, they're being hauled about for taking advantage of their kids. The game is a lose-lose one. They are criticized for both revealing and concealing their lives. They seem incapable of winning. The problem is that they have no intention of giving up, not after the notorious South Park roast, Netflix, or Spotify. Whether on purpose or not, the circus continues to go on, and yet we're all still watching. If anything, they're leaning in even more, revealing little glimpses of their well-manicured Montecito lives and adding just enough drama to keep their name trending. While Meghan faces criticism for her garish appearance and social media presence, Harry is dealing with his own storm and is engaged in a never-ending battle with the family he left behind. Being the king's son makes every decision more significant, particularly when it involves litigation, memoirs, and public backlash. The royal institution is not forgiving and never forgets. Now portrayed as a resentful outsider, the guy previously represented the beloved cheeky rogue of the monarchy. It's not only that he left the UK, it's also the way he departed the documentary series, the candid interviews, and the incessant references to racism, treachery, and emotional suffering. Some see him as courageous. While Meghan's detractors label her thirsty, Harry's detractors see him as a royal traitor who is revealing private information to gain influence. He has completely lost the plot. Privacy is one issue that keeps coming up. They left their homes, ran away from the royal gates, and took up residence in a California house with a chicken coop and views of the ocean because they desired it so desperately. However, they return to the limelight every few months. They will intentionally post a baby photo, a video, or a headline, then seem to be astonished when the public responds. The criticism comes from royalists, journalists, and even former friends, in addition to ordinary internet users. Everyone appears to have a different idea on how Harry and Meghan should act. The discussion has now taken yet another strange turn. Indeed, there is a debate among individuals over whether or not their children are really heirs. Why? Because some conspiracy theorists say that Meghan used a surrogate to give birth to the children instead of carrying them herself. Sounds crazy, doesn't it? However, the controversy over surrogacy's potential impact on a child's royal legitimacy has grown. If it weren't based on deeper racism, sexism, hatred, and a desire to undermine her at every turn, this kind of supposition would be absurd. The jam comes next. Meghan really unveiled a jar of jam, a high-end handcrafted organic preserve. She sent out PR samples to celebrities and influencers, and she was also shamed for it. Nobody is interested in her jam. One presenter sneered, saying it was all smoke and mirrors, a false sense of accomplishment rather than real influence. According to Meghan's side, it sold out right away. According to critics, she most likely produced 10 jars and declared it a sellout. Although it's trivial, it illustrates the current situation. Every action she does is criticized, mocked, and twisted into a cynical story. Even their simple, adorable family day vacation to Disneyland wasn't safe, right? They had to conceal their faces. Not at all. They faced criticism for both wanting privacy and placing their children online. You're promoting yourself by utilizing your kids. Either protect them or don't, according to critics. Even Meghan's decision to put emojis on her children's faces became a talking topic at this time, despite her supporters' claims that there is a difference between choose what to post and having your life destroyed by paparazzi. The worst thing is becoming to believe that there will never be enough. Public opinion cannot be changed by quiet selfies or jam jars. Whether they play the game or leave, they are stuck in a narrative from which they cannot break, and some people are already making predictions about the next stunt, a leaked sex video, a presidential campaign, etc. Nothing is now off the table. It is only a display, not even about truth or purpose. Nowadays, the Sussex brand is a machine, and machines don't give a damn about who they bump into. Online, there's a persistent joke that Harry and Meghan may become the subject of a mockumentary about their decline in popularity or erupt into a fan-only craze. Given how drastically public opinion has changed, it's half humorous and half depressing. People continue to watch because they can't stop staring, not because they care, but because what began as a fairy tale relationship now seems like a chaotic reality show with each new episode more weird than the previous. The situation is made worse by Meghan's persistent efforts to maintain her relevance, which are evident in everything from her well-curated Instagram feeds and soft-focus family portraits to her attempts to start media projects and lifestyle goods. Since nothing shouts authenticity like opulent lodgings financed by royal departure money, she has dabbled with podcasts, tried her hand at producing, and even alluded to political aspirations. Now there is even discussion of a hotel, presumably in Montecito. Ambition is the issue. The disconnect is the cause. These projects always seem a little too well planned, a bit too pretentious, and when they fail, many of them have justifications for it. The Jam was a project driven by enthusiasm. An audience was discovered for the podcast. There was significance in the children's novel. Hype, criticism, defense, and then stillness until the next launch make up the cycle. In the meanwhile, Harry finds himself stuck in a position he never requested, that of the rebellious prince who is unable to put out bridge fires. It is said that he has no ties with King Charles. He hasn't even seen his grandkids, and seldom communicates with Prince William and his father, who is fighting illness. It's more than simply tabloid material. That's awful, but it's simply another line in the royal drama echo chamber. Harry is more than simply a celebrity, which is what makes his situation so precarious. No matter how far he flees or how loudly he denounces the system that holds him bound by royal blood, he will always be the king's son. Because they secretly know he is still a member of the monarchy, they are interested in what he does. That's why his acts hurt so deeply and have such weight. The recommendation. There has been much discussion about the monarchy just taking away their titles and being done with it. So much would be resolved. Let them be Montecito's Harry and Meghan, full-time influencers who like jam and hens, and finally break free from their strange identity dilemma. The titles, however, remain persistent. Even in America, they have influence. It's difficult to determine their ultimate goal without them, and the Sussex brand loses some of its luster. Do they want to make amends in the eyes of the world, create a billion-dollar business, blend in with the backdrop, and raise their children in harmony? It seems like even they are in the dark now. The world is becoming weary of them, and they are caught in a never-ending cycle of responding, rationalizing, and pursuing something that cannot be expressed with filtered photographs and feel-good words. Even the media, which used to get excited by every news, is becoming disinterested. The cycles of fury are shorter. Scandals go away more quickly. Everyone shrugs as Harry does a fresh interview and Meghan uploads a new photo. When the world stops caring, there is no more applause or encore, just silence, and that is the true threat, not the reaction, but the apathy. And it may be the cruelest conclusion of all for a couple who have made their fortune by being heard and seen.